Unfortunately, one of the things that is guaranteed in life for all of us, regardless of our socioeconomic position or who we are, is that we're all going to die at some point in time. And for all of us, I really hope that it is years and years and years from now, surrounded by loved ones and after a really joyous life. Unfortunately, we're not all guaranteed that. So it's very, very important to plan for this inevitability, and unfortunately, most of us do not. Hi, I'm Danny Brown. I'm the CEO of Myriad Real Estate Group, and today we're going to talk about what to do with real estate when someone passes away. I want to cover a few different topics in this video. What do you need to do to secure and show that you own the home? That's immediate. What do you do with all of this stuff? And then how do you actually sell the home? So this is an inevitable truth, right? We all have parents who are going to pass away, loved ones, spouses, siblings. It's just going to happen. So at some point in time, almost all of us are going to be faced with what to do with real estate when a loved one passes. The largest owner of real estate in our country are baby boomers. So again, a lot of us are going to deal with this with our own parents. So it can be very overwhelming. One, you're dealing with grief, the loss of that loved one. And again, a lot of us don't plan for it, so you are left in this state of shock and having to deal with just all of our stuff. We as Americans just accumulate, and do very little of getting rid of things. So when somebody has an untimely death or even just passes away in general, they leave behind an inordinate amount of stuff and just things to navigate. And again, very few of us actually put a plan in place on what to do when we do pass away. So as the individual who's having to take that over, it can really feel overwhelming. So the very first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the home is secure, right? Especially if the home is in an HOA. Reference one of my previous videos, there are a ton of HOAs in Arizona, and just because somebody passes away does not mean that the HOA is going to give you a pass on the condition of the property. So you want to make sure that the home is secured. You want to make sure that plants are getting watered and that the home is being maintained. Plants can die very quickly in our Arizona Phoenix climate, and so you want to make sure that that home is protected, properly secured. Utilities continue to get paid, mortgages continue to get paid. All of those things need to continue as if the family member is still here, because nothing gets delayed just because somebody passed. The second thing you want to do once you've secured the property and continue to run it as if you own it is establish ownership of the property so that you can start making decisions and moving forward in the process. If your family has set up a trust, that is great. That really sets you up for success because somebody has already been nominated to manage that trust, and it's almost like the person didn't pass away, right? Think of a trust as an actual human being. So all of that property continues to move on when that person passes away. The person running the trust just shifts to whoever has been nominated or dictated by the individual that set up the trust. If no trust is in place, hopefully there's at least a basic will in place. You still have to go through probate. And if you are going through probate, I highly, highly recommend that you get an attorney to help you navigate that. It is going to take a lot of stress off. It's going to make things go a lot smoother, and it's just going to make the process just easier for you while you're in this grieving state as well. So navigating probate, what that means is that all of the assets are going to go in front of a judge, a probate judge, and they are going to decide where all that stuff goes. So if there's multiple siblings, family involved, the judge ends up deciding. Now, if you have a basic will in place, they will take the will into consideration. However, there can be challenges to the will. It's not ironclad. So just bear in mind that if you don't have a trust, it ends up in front of a judge, and the judge is the one that's going to end up deciding where all of your stuff goes. Bear in mind that laws are different in state to state, so whatever state you reside in may operate a little bit differently. For example, something here in Arizona that you can do that's super easy, very inexpensive, is you can file a beneficiary deed. So if you're a single person, or if you're married and don't have any children, and you're like, well, I don't need a trust, I don't really have anything but the house, you can still do a beneficiary deed where if you pass away, that deed is in effect and the home does not go through probate. It immediately goes to whom you've nominated as your beneficiary. So I think at minimum, everybody that owns a property should have a beneficiary deed filed dictating where they want the home to go if they were to pass away. So we've established who has the right to make decisions about the house, and maybe we're still in that process. But the next thing to think about is all of the stuff that is in the home. Now, if you are, the sole heir to the estate, if you're in really good relationship with your siblings, these things can all move in parallel. Like you don't have to do one, then the other, and like wait. You can kind of process. Now, if there's arguments amongst the siblings, it's probably best to just pump the brakes and do one thing at a time. But if everybody's in agreement, you can kind of move forward in this together. But the next thing to consider is what to do with all the stuff that's in the house. Now, unfortunately, most people don't want all of our stuff. So usually what you do is you have the family come in, they take the things that they want to take, whether they're sentimental or value, and then you have all this other stuff left over. An estate sale is a really good way to deal with a lot of the stuff that is left behind in the home. Now, when you think of an estate sale, I naturally thought when I started doing this that furniture and those types of things would be of high interest. Well, turns out not so much. So the furniture that's left behind has very little value. It's all the knickknacks and silverware and towels and clothes. All of that stuff is what people want for an estate sale. And there's a lot of different people out there that can help and manage do an estate sale. It's like a garage sale, if you will. And they will help you market it. They typically do it over weekends. And so there's only so many weekends in a month, so they can get booked out a little far in advance. And what they typically do is they will charge you a percentage of what's collected. So they come in, they sit down, they review all of the stuff that's there. They should advise you on things that might be of a lot of value versus, what can just be sold through an estate sale, and help you navigate that process as well. And then they market it and they run the estate sale. You don't have to be there. There's nothing for you to do. They'll collect all the funds. A good estate sale person, once it's all said and done, will help you get rid of the additional things that didn't sell by helping donate some of those things to charity. My team also does that, and we will help families get rid of things and donate them to charity. The last stop is Goodwill. They're a for-profit company, and they're where we go if none of the charities want to take any of the items. We will drop them off at Goodwill. If Goodwill won't take it, then the final resting place is unfortunately the dump. So when you're navigating trying to get rid of all of these things, first it goes family, then it goes estate sale, then it goes charities, then it goes Goodwill, then it goes the dump. So now that the home is secured, you've gotten rid of all of the stuff that is at the home, now it's time to actually market and sell the property. Now, if you're working with a good realtor, they should be able to advise you on whether or not, and they should be able to advise you this pretty early in the process, on whether or not it makes sense to sell the home to investors. Is the home in such condition that it's not suitable for the open market, and you just need cash buyers in order to sell that property? Or with a little bit of love and minor things, can you market and sell the home and get a much higher price advertising it and selling it on the open market? So those are really your two avenues when it comes to marketing and selling the property. And when you're working with the right individual, they should be able to advise you that really early on in the process of where you're at and what's probably going to be the best avenue to take. The first question you might be asking is, well, Danny, if I'm going to sell this to an investor, why do I really need representation or to pay for a realtor? Well, the reason for that is if you have been assigned or you're in charge of this estate, you actually owe fiduciary responsibility to the estate. And if there's any other heirs or people that have interest, they can challenge your fiduciary responsibility and say that you did not act in good faith by exploring all of the different options that exist out there to get the highest price for the home. So one, it's fulfilling your fiduciary responsibility to bring in some representation. Two, Investors, there's probably very altruistic investors out there, but most of them are not. This is when someone passes away, it's in the public domain, and you will start getting harassing phone calls, mailers, people knocking on your door, wanting to buy your home because they sense that there's an opportunity there. So when you have representation, you have somebody that will step in and interject in that process. If they'll still reach out to you, but you can say, contact my realtor, and you don't have to talk to these people. And then your realtor's job is to get you the highest price possible. So if you're going the investor route, remember that realtor owes you a fiduciary responsibility, and they are going to get those investors to compete with one another to get you the highest price possible. And in this process, something that I do is I write a narrative for the estate explaining how we arrived at this point and how the person running the estate is acting as the fiduciary in that process by going the investor route. So that's just another layer of protection that you have when you're navigating this process, showing that you are doing everything within your power to sell that home for the highest price possible. One of the things that is very common with investors is bait and switch. They come in, they will offer you a higher price, and you're like, wow, this sounds really great. They will have a short inspection window, so somewhere in the 2 to 5 day range. They'll come in and they'll do their inspections. Oftentimes they're not doing any. And then all of a sudden they're asking you for a much cheaper price to make the deal work. A lot of times what those investors are doing is they are trying to resale the property immediately. So they're making you an offer, and then they're trying to sell the home off market on the dark web to another investor where they're making a quick $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. It's called wholesaling. I'm not a big fan of it. It is pretty unregulated in Arizona. And while there's probably very honest and good wholesalers out there, a lot of them are, again, very opportunistic. So they make you this higher price. They try to sell it on the dark web. They can't. They get offers that are lower. They reduce their price so that they can make that profit that they're looking for. So there's a lot of bait and switching that happens when it comes to estate and probate sales and working with investors. Even investors that plan on flipping the property will do that as well. So having that representation is going to help. They're going to help guide you through that process and know when to avoid certain investors versus moving forward with certain investors to lessen the chance of that bait and switch. So the other option is going to the open market. Now, a good agent should be able to set the expectation for you. If we go to the open market, I think we're going to be able to sell around here. Now, bear in mind, in the open market, we're going to have to navigate general inspections. We're going to have some slightly higher costs. So a good agent's going to be able to break down for you that, okay, if we go to the open market, I think we can sell here, but the cost of selling, cost of repairs, because they're going to do full inspections, going to put you here. The investor offers that we're getting are coming in here. What's that gap? And so does it make financial sense to go to the open market, or is that gap much smaller than what you initially think? So they're going to guide you on which avenue is going to be the best. Now, let's say you do go to the open market. Now, if you go to the open market and you've watched any of my videos before, you want to make sure that you're putting out a good product. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to come in and renovate the house and do all of these things, but you still want to clean it up. You still want to have professional photos, and you still want to present it in the best light possible. You may still end up selling to an investor, but you're going to get a higher price by going through the MLS traditionally and selling that on the open market. So let's talk about the cost of all of this, right? You've got the cost to maintain the property. You've often got a mortgage that you have to pay, utilities, the landscaping, if there's a pool, the attorney's fees, the estate sale, like all of this stuff costs money. And as someone, you've stepped in and you're having to manage this, you've got your own life, you've got your own expenses, and now all of a sudden you have all the expenses of this other house that you have to take care of. That can be super overwhelming, and that can push a lot of people to be like, I can't afford this. I just have to sell this to an investor, and I have to sell it quickly. Again, really kind of hurting your prospects. Something that we do and something that we offer to our clients who are having to navigate this is we do a free cash advance against the equity of the home in order to help families that are navigating this situation. So we will take over the mortgage payments for you. We will pay the attorney's fees. We will pay to have the home cleared out. We will pay for landscaping. Whatever those costs are, shipping belongings across the country, having people come in and clean it all out. Like, we will quarterback and manage the whole thing. I had a recent client who called me a GC when it comes to navigating probate and estate sales, because we have all the contacts for all of these people, and we will cover all of the upfront costs, so as you, the family, don't have to. Once that home sells, we pay ourselves back through the proceeds of the sale, dollar for dollar. So every expense that goes out, you are having to approve. And then when the home sells, we just pay ourselves back a dollar for dollar return. So that takes a lot of the pressure off of the family when they're navigating one of these types of sales, and takes a lot of that pressure off. And even if we go the investor route, we can still offer that support through this program. As long as there's equity in the home, this program exists for our clients to use to help them when they're navigating a really difficult process. So if you're outside of the Phoenix area, what do you do? What do you ask? Well, feel free to reach out to me. I may be able to find someone that offers a similar program and has the experience to help people navigate through the estate sale process. So reach out to me first, and if I have a contact in an area that you're at, I'm happy to make that introduction. Otherwise, you need to go through the interview process and start interviewing realtors to see where they can help, and are they willing to step up and help you navigate this process, and how much and how little, and really truthfully, what is their experience in navigating estate and probate as well. The program that I offer is very unique to what we do here in Phoenix, but like I mentioned, I might be able to find you contacts throughout the country that might be able to, mimic this program as well. My heart goes out to you and your family if you are navigating this and have lost a loved one. It is extremely difficult. You're grieving and you're going through a lot, and this is it just piles on. So all I can say is it's super important to work with the right individuals that are going to take as much of that stress and burden off of you so that you can grieve properly and not make any decisions when you're not thinking straight. So having the right team behind you is going to be super, super important. And honestly, you can't get them involved too early. So if someone is in hospice, if it's something that has just happened, reach out, and there's help and there's resources that are out there. You're not having to navigate this by yourself. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely leave them below. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.